As the Blanchett released seed arrows to kill them, Annie used her panda puppet to block the attack. Suddenly, the plant monsters started growing like crazy from the ground. Upon seeing this, 5-element P Sword Saint said, "What is supposed to come will still come, but this time the number is really exaggerated." Meanwhile, Leping smiled and asked Elizabeth, "Do you remember the first time I went on an adventure with you a few months ago?" Elizabeth asked, "What do you mean? Remember what happened?" As the Sword Saint and Annie were fighting with the plant monsters, Leping told Elizabeth, "If I were back then and saw the situation now, I would probably be frightened. But now, I feel that I have fully adapted and no longer need to pretend to be calm. Originally, I thought I should be safe if I took you with me on this trip. But considering the devil's moodiness, unexpected situations may still occur. So I specifically asked to bring Annie and Miss Zhizhai, and with the addition of 2 strong men, I would be able to calmly face everything I encounter on the journey." Elizabeth, with a puzzled expression, told Leping, "What's there to show off? In the past, I had to hide my identity and pretend to be weak in front of outsiders to study the outside world. But now, because of the agreement with this king, I will start to establish my own power, so I will show my identity and stop pretending to be weak." Meanwhile, the Sword Saint and little girl Annie were fighting the plant monsters and Blanchett. Leping told Elizabeth, "What a show! I'm just glad to know you, Elizabeth. It's so nice of you. I hope to be with you forever," thinking, "Fortunately, we have become friends instead of enemies. I hope we can live in peace together forever." Suddenly, a plant monster came from behind Leping and swallowed him in front of Elizabeth. Upon seeing this, both Annie and the Sword Saint were shocked. Elizabeth, however, remained calm, thinking, "Did Leping just confess his love to me?" The Sword Saint used her sword to cut and save Leping, but unfortunately, it was already too late. Leping had disappeared to nowhere. Upon seeing this, little girl Annie said, "Brother Leping was swallowed up and disappeared to nowhere." The Sword Saint remained calm and told little girl Annie, "We just have to catch Blanchett and interrogate her, and we'll know." However, Blanchett commanded all the plant monsters to self-destruct, saying, "Capture that man alive. The mission has been completed." The 5 elements P started glowing, creating a huge explosion. Blanchett, watching from the sidelines, thought, although the price of sacrificing 35 elements P is a bit high, compared to being entangled with the Swordmaster, this is obviously the most correct choice. But little girl Annie used her Guardian of the Muppets just in time to save herself and the Sword Saint. Annie told the Sword Saint, "In order to prevent this explosion, all my magic power has been exhausted, and Bear and Rabbit were also seriously damaged." The Sword Saint agreed, saying, "That's to be expected. Even if I'm a Demon King, I may not be able to completely defend against the self-destruction of the Demon King. I didn't expect your guardian magic to be so powerful, Annie." Blanchett noticed that the breath of life had disappeared, and only the Sword Saint and the girl were left. Realizing she had to use all the remaining seeds, she prepared them and planted them into the ground. As she did, the plant monsters started growing all around Annie and the Sword Saint. After fully growing, they initiated a 6-fold self-destruction, creating a massive explosion. However, the Sword Saint reacted in time and saved both herself and Annie. Just when she thought they were safe, a powerful move came out from the forest and attacked them. Blanchett knew it wasn't simple to defeat the president of the Sword Saint Guild, but thought it was enough to beat her into the forest, where more powerful beings than the 5 elements P awaited. She decided to retreat and recover first. However, before she could leave, Elizabeth appeared behind her, saying, "It seems that there are many things happening here that I don't know about. Come and explain them to me." Shocked, Blanchett wondered, "Wasn't she just killed by a bomb?" she asked Elizabeth. "Who are you?" Without wasting any time, Elizabeth started using her mind control skill to see who was behind all of this. Blanchett, scared, realized, "My intuition tells me that I must not fall into her hands. Otherwise, my end will be worse than death." To avoid that, she removed the armor on her right hand, revealing a hidden weapon, the arrow of self-killing. She used it and killed herself. Seeing this, Elizabeth thought, she made the right choice. If she had been caught by me, I would have given her a really painful death. She was curious, wondering, could it be that Twyla has also colluded with the Dark Guild? It has only been a mere 500 years, but neither one nor the other has put me in their eyes, right? Okay, then this time I will instill terror into you. Meanwhile, on the other side, the plant monster that had swallowed Leping came out of the middle of the forest and released him. Confused, Leping didn't know what was going on. But as he looked at the plant monster, he got a pretty uneasy feeling upon seeing its expressions. He stepped back, telling the plant monster not to come close. As the plant monster prepared to launch an attack on Leping, he shouted, "Elizabeth, save me!" However, the plant monster didn't attack him. Surprised, Leping wondered what happened. He saw the plant monster eating something on the ground. Leping wondered, what is it eating? When he checked his pocket, he realized, is it the organic fertilizer I brought here? This was the meeting gift I originally planned to give to the elf tribe. Leping asked the plant monster, "Do you like to eat this?" In response, the plant monster nodded like crazy. Leping told the plant monster, "I'll give it all to you if you promise not to eat me." He threw the organic fertilizer in front of the plant monster, who started eating it like crazy. After consuming all the organic fertilizer, the plant monster was fully satisfied and lay unconscious on the ground. Leping, upon seeing the plant monster unconscious, said, "Although fertilizers are good, excessive intake may cause nutritional imbalance. Fortunately, this is a plant-type monster." He then wondered what he should do next and where he should go in this huge forest. He hoped Elizabeth would find him soon but decided, "Forget it, I'd better think of a way while walking." Meanwhile, Elrond reported to the Joker that when the man was halfway through the teleportation, his plant monster suddenly stopped. The Joker asked, "What's going on?" "Use the surveillance plant to detect his location." Elrond responded, "That guy has all his magic power hidden in his body, with no magic power response, and the surveillance plant cannot find his location." Upon hearing this, the Joker started laughing, saying, "The answer is indeed not that simple. It needs to be combined with further information interpretation. I can basically confirm the man's identity." He already knew about Leping's identity through various sources and memories, realizing that Leping is the legendary brave. The Joker thought, "Then I will use the card you created to defeat you and prove to that woman that I am no worse than you." Meanwhile, on the other side, the Sword Saint and little girl Annie both successfully made it out alive from the huge explosion. However, the Sword Saint was badly injured. She explained, "If I use the previous sword moves based on Leping's sword skills, a kind of magic power will be generated in your body, causing discomfort from the collision." Little girl Annie asked the Sword Saint if she was okay. The Sword Saint told Annie not to worry, she just needed to take a break to recover. However, Annie suddenly noticed a powerful magic approaching them. Without wasting any time, she commanded her puppets to block the attack. But her puppets, already badly injured, couldn't stop the powerful move and were destroyed. Surprised, Annie told the Sword Saint, "Bear and Rabbit have been completely destroyed. Is it elemental magic or those 5-element peas?" The Sword Saint replied, "This guy in front of me is much more dangerous than the 5 elements pea." Their opponent was a cartoon little mage, a 5-star demon lord. But suddenly, little Annie noticed something and asked the Sword Saint, "Have you also noticed it?" The Sword Saint replied, "Yes, this guy has the aura of a brave man, but he also has another evil power." The cartoon little mage started preparing his magic attack, but before he could complete it, the Sword Saint seized the opportunity and used the third style, swallow catching insects, to attack him. She was surprised to see her stick crack as the cartoon little mage remained perfectly fine, protected by phalanx protection. Surprised, the Sword Saint wondered what it was, But before she could figure it out, someone attacked her. Luckily, little girl Annie saved her life. However, Annie was also in a tough situation as she had used the red demon eye a bit too much today, wondering if she could control it again. The attacker was Cartoon Guard, also a demon lord peak. The Sword Saint thanked Annie and told her to leave it to her, but the magic power collided in her body again. Whether she was using her own swordsmanship or the brave man's swordsmanship, she seemed to be out of tune. Annie asked the Sword Saint if she could still fight. Meanwhile, the cartoon little mage started preparing different types of element magic, combining them to create a powerful move. Surprised, little Annie wondered, it can actually fuse different elements together. This is a very bad move. Even if she activated the eyes of the red demon, it would be difficult for her in her current state to confront them head-on. It would be fine if the sword master was not injured, she thought. No, Annie, what are you thinking about? When you encounter a strong enemy, you just want to rely on Master Sword Master. You are the same as Master Sword Master, both chosen by Brother Leping to maintain world peace. Brother Leping spent so much time training me so that I can contribute to the world peace plan. Neither I nor I can live up to the expectations of Brother Leping and Sister Elizabeth. I have to prove that I am a suitable candidate. As the cartoon little mage launched the powerful move, Elemental Bomb, towards the Sword Saint and Annie, it created a huge explosion. When the cartoon little mage thought they had won, he suddenly noticed something on the other side of the explosion. He was really surprised to see that little girl Annie had summoned a really big snake puppet, which blocked the elemental bomb without any problem. The snake puppet absorbed the elemental bomb. Annie, awakening her bloodline, warned them, "Feel free to come over here." The Sword Saint noticed that Annie's demon level had suddenly risen from the demon sect level to the peak of the Demon King and might even have surpassed her own current strength. She thought, is this the true strength of the Eye of the Red Demon? No wonder the brave lord and the Demon King chose Annie. Annie commanded her snake puppet to attack the enemy. The snake puppet started running toward the enemy to attack, but the cartoon guard used phalanx protection to stop the snake puppet. However, the snake puppet avoided their attack. Annie realized that these magic cubes not only had super high level defense, but also could tear the snake puppet into pieces if it got trapped. However, her Eye of the Red Demon allowed her to see the mark points generated before each release, enabling her to control the snake to avoid them in time. She used wind magic to distract them, and commanded her owl puppet to use Storm Slash. However, the cartoon guard used phalanx protection to block Annie's attack. As they let their guard down, Annie used this opportunity to command her snake puppet to attack them. The snake puppet started to swallow them with their barrier. The Sword Saint told Annie, "That block can't be broken even by my brave hero's branch." She asked Annie, "What are you going to do?" Annie confidently replied, "It's really difficult to destroy that block at once, but if it is decomposed slowly, I can manage." The Sword Saint realized that Annie's strength still had a lot of room for growth, and that she needed to overcome her own limitations soon. Otherwise, the hero and the Devil's Throne would no longer belong to her. She questioned Annie, "Why is it okay to decompose slowly?" Annie replied, "The magic power swallowed and decomposed by the snake will be absorbed and transferred to my body. No matter how powerful his magic is, I can slowly consume it." She was slowly absorbing their magic power, but the bloodline awakening was about to invade her consciousness. She thought, "I must hold on until I succeed." But suddenly, someone killed her snake puppet, and she was badly injured. The Sword Saint was shocked and didn't know what had just happened. The attack was so fast that she couldn't react in time, and she was also struck by a powerful sword move. The attack was so powerful that it created a huge explosion in the forest, but luckily, the Sword Saint managed to shield herself just in time to save her life, though she was badly injured. She thought, "The first time was when I fell into the Demon King's ruins, and the second time was when the power of chaos broke out in my body. and I was rescued by the Demon King. And now it has appeared in my mind again. That feeling called despair. The one who attacked the Sword Saint and Annie was the cartoon general, a Samsung Demon King. He told the cartoon guard and cartoon little mage, "I will handle it." Meanwhile, Elizabeth was wandering in the forest, trying to find the real culprit. This is the location where the magic power is the strongest. Where is the black hand of the queen, she wondered. Suddenly, upon seeing Elizabeth, the enemy exclaimed, "The big fish has arrived." They prepared a barrier to trap her. Elizabeth, upon entering the magic barrier, realized she had walked back to the original place and thought, "This is a magic barrier, which means its strength is above the level of a demon king." She told them, "Do you want to trap me here, little trick?" Suddenly, a doll appeared in front of Elizabeth and captured her, starting to shrink her size. This doll was the cartoon ceiling array, a 2-star demon king. After capturing Elizabeth, the doll told her, "The flow rate of time inside each level of the seal will be doubled, and the time of 10 levels of seals will be slowed down by 1024 times. No matter how powerful you are, you will always be locked in the cage of time." Meanwhile, Elizabeth stood like a statue inside the barrier. As she smiled, the barrier started cracking. Surprised, the cartoon ceiling array wondered, why is she not affected at all? Elizabeth destroyed the barrier without any problem. As she emerged, she told the cartoon ceiling array, "This king has lived in the time barrier for a year." Elizabeth told them they were just a trifle and ordered them to leave immediately. But suddenly, a scythe tore into Elizabeth's body, catching her by surprise. She wondered what had just happened. This was the work of number 7777, Cartoon Death, a 1-star demon king. He used his soul-snatching scythe to extract Elizabeth's soul from her body. This was his special skill. Once hit, the target's level could be ignored, and the soul could be directly extracted. He laughed as he pulled her soul out. However, Cartoon Death misjudged the situation. Elizabeth, even in her soul form, grabbed his neck, leaving him speechless. Furious, she demanded, "Who ordered you to do this? Tell me now, and perhaps I'll let you die quickly." For the first time, Cartoon Death felt the fear of death. He, the mighty Death who terrified everyone, couldn't believe he was now the one trembling in fear. He was so scared that he reverted to his original card form. The one who summoned Cartoon Death realized it was useless. Even soul extraction couldn't harm Elizabeth. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's soul returned to her body. After fighting the enemy, she realized something. "Even if you didn't tell me, I could have guessed it. This is clearly Leping's aura," she wondered. Could it be that this visit to the elf tribe was another one of his carefully planned games? Elizabeth grew even angrier as she thought, "It's one thing to test them, but to include me in this? You arrogant Leping, you'd better remember I am a chess player sitting at the table like you, not a chess piece on the board." Summoning her demonic hands, she tore apart the space-time where the enemies were hiding. She warned them, "If you know what's good for you, commit suicide quickly. Otherwise, if I get serious, you'll die a far more miserable death." However, the enemy laughed at Elizabeth, telling his partner, "Look at her, she talks so big." The other one reassured him, "Don't worry, let's see if she can get out." Elizabeth realized, this is Cartoon Maze, number 8888, another 1-star demon king. So, this is what has trapped me here. Whatever Leping created, even if it wasn't of high magical level, always had the special effect of enabling the weak to defeat the strong. Elizabeth used just a bit of her strength to knock on the structure of the cartoon maze, shattering it. She emerged from the maze, mocking her enemies, saying, "Two ignorant fools." The enemy was enraged by Elizabeth's arrogance. One of them, the cartoon queen, a 5-star demon king, declared to her partner, "It's enough for me to handle her." The cartoon king, a peak demon king, sitting on his throne, responded, "Then I'll leave it to you, queen. I look forward to your victory." Elizabeth confronted them, summoning her demonic hand and using it as a throne to sit on. She addressed the Cartoon King, "Calling yourself a king in front of me? You're not qualified yet." The Cartoon King, now furious, ordered his queen, "Kill this ignorant fool." The Cartoon Queen launched her cards, summoning a peak demon king, Cartoon Dagger. However, Elizabeth paid them no mind, telling them, "Shut up and go to hell." She launched an attack toward them, but the Cartoon Queen summoned a magic circle, swift wings, and easily destroyed Elizabeth's attack. The Queen counterattacked with her ace, Kill. Elizabeth effortlessly blocked the attack with just one finger, as if snapping a bug. She noticed, however, that the attack actually broke one of her nails. "Not bad," she remarked, praising the Cartoon Queen. As the Cartoon Queen prepared to attack Elizabeth again, suddenly, the ball monsters she had killed before started moving towards her, ready to attack. Surprised, the Cartoon Queen wondered how they were still alive. As they were about to strike, she swiftly cut them both in half. Thinking she was finally done, the ball monsters multiplied again and attacked her from behind. Shocked, the Cartoon Queen wondered what was happening. She used her Cartoon Dagger to slice them into pieces once more, but the ball monsters kept recovering and multiplying, relentlessly attacking her. Annoyed and frustrated, the Cartoon Queen wondered what kind of magic these bullets possessed. She continuously slaughtered them, but they kept multiplying and attacking. Finally, she used her ace, Critical Hit, to finish them off for good. However, the Cartoon Queen was shocked when she saw that her attack had no effect on the proliferation magic bullet. In fact, the number of magic bullets grew even more. Elizabeth mocked her, saying, "For someone like you, magic bullets are more than enough." She commanded the magic bullets to attack the Queen, and with their help, Elizabeth destroyed the Cartoon Queen's body and retrieved the Cartoon Dagger cards. She thought to herself, so many tricks, all designed for the weak to defeat the strong. Suddenly, something began to absorb Elizabeth's magic bullets. The Cartoon Queen, whose body had been torn apart by the magic bullets, was still alive. She summoned an incredibly powerful monster that devoured all of Elizabeth's magic bullets. This monster was number 9999, Cartoon Dinosaur, a 2-star demon king. Seeing this, Elizabeth realized that these were the Queen's last 2 cards, one for magic absorption and the other for resurrection. The Cartoon Queen then summoned number 6666, Cartoon Aquarius, a 1-star demon king, which quickly healed her. Furious, she shouted at Elizabeth, "You think you can kill me so easily? Prepare to suffer the consequences, you arrogant woman." However, the Cartoon Dinosaur began to struggle after absorbing so many magic bullets. The chaos within his body was too much for him to handle, and he could barely keep it together. Unable to hold it any longer, he launched the magic bullets back at Elizabeth. This was his special skill. Cartoon dinosaurs can re-emit absorbed magic skills at twice the original amount. But this was no big deal for Elizabeth. She effortlessly stopped the attack, leaving the Cartoon Dinosaur in shock. He couldn't believe she had stopped it so easily. The Cartoon Queen was equally surprised, wondering how this could be possible. Elizabeth explained, "As long as it's a move created by me, even if you magnify it 100 times, it won't harm me at all." She then began casting a spell, Severe Punishment, and crushed both the Cartoon Queen and Cartoon Dinosaur. The pressure was so intense that the Cartoon Dinosaur's body was torn into pieces. Seeing the power of her magic trick, Elizabeth felt truly satisfied. Although the inspiration for this magic trick came from that stupid dog, she thought, it has to be said that the effect is very impressive. The Cartoon Dinosaur returned to his card form, and there were many other cards, but Elizabeth noticed that there was no Queen card among them. As she wondered about this, the Cartoon Queen suddenly attacked her from behind. Elizabeth dodged the attack, but the Queen didn't stop there. She continued to launch attacks. Despite her efforts, none of them worked, and the Queen was shocked. By the time she realized what was happening, it was already too late. Elizabeth had split her body in two. Elizabeth transformed into her demon queen form and used a powerful slash technique, saying, "Stop nagging. I'll just be a little more serious." However, the cartoon queen used Aquarius, and her body began to regenerate. Seeing this, Elizabeth realized no action is required from the main body. As long as the main body is killed, resurrection magic will automatically activate, and the rebirth point can be selected within a certain range. The cartoon queen confidently told Elizabeth, "You can't kill me." But Elizabeth summoned her demonic hands and used absolute confinement to restrict the queen's movement. Elizabeth smiled and said, "First, I'll limit your resurrection point within my restricted range, and then I'll play with you slowly." Elizabeth then used the punishment of dissolution and began tearing the queen apart slowly. However, the cartoon queen healed herself with a drop of dew, saying, "It's no use. I only need a drop of dew from the bottle to revive." She mocked Elizabeth, explaining, "The magic space in the bottle is connected to the entire ocean, providing an endless amount of water. How long will your magic last?" But Elizabeth didn't care. She cast poisonous punishment, and the cartoon queen began crying out in pain. Elizabeth didn't stop there. She unleashed a series of punishments, including water punishment, skinning punishment, thousand needle punishment, tear punishment, and thunder punishment. The cartoon queen screamed in agony, but Elizabeth coldly told her, "The various injuries you receive in absolute confinement will continue to accumulate and stack. Let's see how long you can last." As Elizabeth continued her relentless assault, the bottle of Aquarius began to wither, unable to revive the queen any longer. The cartoon queen died instantly. Elizabeth smiled and said, "When infinite resurrection turns into infinite pain, your spirit will naturally wither, and you will choose to give up." Now, only one opponent remained: the cartoon king. The king angrily told Elizabeth, "I will personally deal with you." He stood up from his throne and summoned all the card diggers. Using his unique skill, polymerization, he began to combine them to create a powerful weapon. After successfully merging the cards, he created a powerful weapon called the Cartoon Lance, a 2-star demon god weapon. He then forcefully broke through his realm, becoming a 1-star demon god. Holding the Cartoon Lance, he laughed and said to Elizabeth, "You're a queen, and I'm a king, but there is only one seat for the strongest ruler in the world." Upon hearing this, Elizabeth started laughing. The cartoon king, frustrated by her reaction, asked, "Why are you laughing?" Elizabeth replied, "Once upon a time, there was a demon king who was the top existence in this world. Looking at you now, an ant, I can see how I probably looked to him back then." The cartoon king didn't understand what Elizabeth was saying. He grabbed his weapon and retorted, "You're still rambling despite the fact that you're about to die. You might not realize it, but my power is far beyond that of your previous opponents." He used his world-breaking martial art and charged at Elizabeth to attack her. But Elizabeth didn't stop there. She also used her world-breaking magic to counter his attack. However, her attack had no effect on the cartoon king. He used his skill, King of Grand Slam, to strike Elizabeth, leaving her surprised and wondering what had just happened. Seizing the opportunity, the cartoon king launched a powerful attack, seemingly killing Elizabeth. After landing the blow, he began laughing, declaring, "This king is the strongest in the world." But suddenly, he transformed back into his original card form. Elizabeth was still alive. The one the cartoon king had killed was merely an illusion she had created. Angry, Elizabeth crushed the king's card, thinking, "Is this Leping's goal? Are you using these things to remind me that there is still a long way to go to reach the top? If I'm arrogant and proud, I'll repeat the same mistakes and become as foolish and ridiculous as these things." Elizabeth muttered to herself. She then told Lai Ping, "Just wait, I'll definitely catch up to you." But suddenly, she noticed something odd. She thought all the cards had been destroyed, so why hadn't she left the space? Then she realized it was the cartoon king's throne. The throne began to transform, and a moment later, it successfully turned into a duck. Its name was Cartoon Duck, and its magic level was unknown. The cartoon duck started saying something to Elizabeth in its own language. Annoyed, Elizabeth angrily shouted, "Are you trying to waste my time? Get lost!" She then used her demonic hand skill to kill it. However, she was shocked when another demonic hand blocked her attack. Surprised, she thought, "It has the ability to copy my skills. It can defend itself from me." The cartoon duck not only used Elizabeth's skills, but also transformed its appearance, becoming a duck version of Elizabeth. Upon seeing this, Elizabeth lost control and became furious, yelling, "How dare you!" Meanwhile, on the other side, Lai Ping was wandering around a forest when he found an apple tree. He plucked some fresh apples from the tree, remarking, "This must be the elf tribe. There are so many different fruits here. Although the taste is nothing special, if I take them back and cultivate them, I could develop a better variety." However, he was so focused on picking apples that he paid no attention to his surroundings, unaware of the impending danger. An elf zombie was watching his every move from behind. The one controlling this zombie was Elder Elrond. He informed Joker, "One of the bodies has found the man's location." Joker asked, "What are you waiting for?" and ordered, "Get him back." Leping, still unaware of the impending danger, continued his search for ripe fruit. Elder Elrond began to approach, launching an attack. As the zombie struck, Leping noticed some riper fruit nearby and dodged the attack without even realizing it. The zombie's head hit the ground but quickly stood back up, its legs bending in a ghostly manner like something out of a 90s movie. It then started running toward Leping again. Suddenly, some of the fruit in Leping's hands fell to the ground. The zombie, rushing at full speed, couldn't stop in time and slipped on the fruit, crashing face first into the ground. The pain from the impact transferred to Elder Elrond, who was connected to the zombie. As Leping began picking up the fallen fruit, he spotted a magical plant capable of growing regardless of climate laws. Meanwhile, Elder Elrond stabilized his connection with the zombie and sent it charging toward Leping once more. Still focused on the magical plants and fruits, Leping thought, "If I take these back to the novice village, I should be able to cultivate them." Just as he was feeling pleased with his discovery, the zombie suddenly appeared right in front of him. Startled, Leping screamed loudly and threw all the fruit from his hands. His sudden reaction startled Elder Elrond as well, making him feel as though his heart had jumped out of his chest. Without wasting any time, Leping began running as fast as he could. Elder Elrond, now furious, thought, "This must be intentional." He then asked Joker, "Can I use 50 dark gears to activate all the other corpses? This legendary hero is not easy to deal with." Joker, also nervous after seeing Elder Elrond's reaction, replied, "Use them. Just bring him back to me quickly." Elder Elrond activated the 50 dark gears and began controlling all the corpses of the elf tribe people in the forest. Meanwhile, Leping, running faster than ever, was confused and thought, "Why are there zombies in the elf forest? I need to find Elizabeth and the others quickly." Suddenly, the elf forest started shaking. Leping stopped and wondered if it was an earthquake, but he soon realized it wasn't. Instead, a massive wave of something was coming toward him. As he turned to look, he saw countless green lights glowing in the forest. Terrified, he wondered, "What is this?" Upon a closer look, Leping realized that the glowing green lights were actually the eyes of zombies, and he was surrounded. Seeing that all directions were blocked, he took a deep breath to calm himself, reminding himself that he was a legendary hero. But then it hit him he didn't bring Alpha with him. As Leping frantically thought of a way to escape, the ground beneath him suddenly began to crack. Fearful, he wondered if there were zombies even underground. Meanwhile, Elder Elrond commanded the zombies to take Leping down. The zombies, receiving the order, rushed toward Leping from all sides. Just as it seemed hopeless, someone appeared and started killing the zombies, saving Leping's life. It was the same plant monster that had kidnapped Leping before, but after Leping gave him some of his homemade special fertilizer, the monster had become attached to him. Leping was shocked to see his unexpected savior. However, Elder Elrond was not pleased. No wonder the plant magic suddenly stopped working, he thought. It turns out the 5 Elements P was tamed. He then informed Master Joker. This hero may also be a plant magic master. The 5 Elements P began rapidly shooting in all directions, annihilating the zombies. Leping, now sitting on top of the 5 Elements P, encouraged it. You can do this, kill all the zombies. The 5 Elements P continued to eliminate the zombies with incredible speed. But suddenly, Elder Elrond used elf corpses to channel plant magic control and restrict all of the P's movements. Surprised, Leping wondered why it had suddenly stopped. Elder Elrond, using the magic of other elder corpses, continued to restrict the 5 Elements P, thinking with a smile, there are several generations of clan leaders and elders among these corpses. No matter how strong you are, you can't match the power of the entire elf race when it comes to plant magic. Then, Elder Elrond used plant magic involution to shrink the 5 Elements P. As a result, the P became so small that Leping could carry it in his hand. Leping, bewildered, wondered, what just happened? The 5 Elements P was left in an awkward pose, unable to protect Leping anymore. Now that the 5 Elements P had been neutralized, Elder Elrond commanded all the zombies to capture Leping. A massive wave of zombies surged toward him like a tsunami. Leping, in shock, wondered, is this the end of my otherworldly journey? The zombies overwhelmed him, creating a dome-like structure around him. But suddenly, a sound of laughter echoed from inside the dome. The chainsaw that Leping had created before coming to the elf tribe suddenly activated on its own and began slaughtering zombies. The chainsaw's power was so immense that it even killed Elder Elrond, who was controlling the zombie corpses, cutting his body in half. Shocked, Joker wondered, what happened? My corpse command device should only transmit sensations at best, but even the full damage was transmitted. As Elder Elrond died, all the zombie corpses he was controlling began to fall. Leping, clueless about what had just occurred, remembered that he also had a chainsaw, but was still confused, wondering, how did it come out on its own? The chainsaw, somehow communicating with Leping in a way he couldn't see, reassured him, I won't let you get hurt. However, after cutting the zombies in half, Leping noticed that they still didn't die. Scared, he warned the zombies not to come any closer. To his horror, all the zombies Leping had previously killed began standing up and moving toward him again. Suddenly, one of the zombies leaped at Leping to attack him, but he quickly used his chainsaw to kill it. Now, Joker was controlling the zombies after Elder Elrond's death, and he could do so even without the device, using corpse magic. He realized, it's still the same, but through the magic channel, the damage is being transmitted back to the caster, and that strange weapon in his hand has the effect of causing true damage. An elf archer appeared and launched a barrage of magical arrows at Leping. Surprised by the sheer number of arrows coming towards him, Leping raised his chainsaw to defend himself. Leping Scrade shouted at the elf zombies, "Don't come over here." The arrows the elf zombies shot at him bounced back because of his overpowered outfit effect, which could rebound 100% of enemy damage. The rebounded arrows killed all the zombies. As the zombies died, the Joker, who was controlling them, felt pain in his hand. Frustrated, he thought, even the damage reflected by that passive skill turns into true damage? It looks like this legendary hero has mastered the use of magic. He healed his wounds and, with a grin, said, I have the advantage of this territory and the magic power of the entire elf tribe's corpses at my disposal. I will find a way to defeat you. The Joker then used Corpse Surge to combine all the zombie corpses, creating a massive monster. Leping Scrade swung his chainsaw blindly, using his chopping wood plus technique, and cut the enormous zombie corpse monster in half. The attack was so powerful that it not only sliced through the monster, but also split the planet in half, sending debris into space. The Joker, shocked, wondered how his strongest corpse magic, of which he was so proud, was countered by Leping as if it were nothing. The true damage from Leping's attack was so intense that it cut the Joker's body in half, killing him with just one move before he even realized it. After the Joker was killed, the corpses he was controlling began to fall. Leping, who didn't realize he had already killed the zombie monster, started shouting again, "Zombies, don't come near me!" He grabbed his chainsaw and charged towards the remaining zombies. Terrified, the zombies, seeing Leping's determined look, got scared and started running away. Leping, without hesitation, began chasing after them. Meanwhile, on the other side, Elizabeth was battling Duck Elizabeth. Elizabeth unleashed her world-destroying magic. Earth recasting, however, Duck Elizabeth copied Elizabeth's spell and used it against her. The collision of these two powerful magics created a massive explosion. Elizabeth, now furious, shouted at Duck Elizabeth, "I'll grind you into powder as punishment for offending me." She then controlled her world-destroying magic and twisted it, capturing Duck Elizabeth in a metal ball-like prison. After securing her, Elizabeth said, "This is made by Leping, but just in case." She transformed into her demon form and used her world-destroying combat art, sever into all two, slicing through the prison ball. However, she suddenly noticed something that shocked her. Duck Elizabeth was still standing, seemingly unharmed, and said, "Know your place, Elizabeth." Frustrated, Elizabeth thought, "How is this possible? Ridiculous. It used my most precious skills to restrain me." Time Seal, Soul Attack, Magic Attack, Infinite Resurrection, and now this perfect replica, all used by such a low-level summon? But then she remembered what Leping had told her. The level of the magic doesn't determine everything. By mastering the principles, a lot can be achieved with little effort, and even the weak can defeat the strong. Reflecting on Leping's words, she realized that he had prepared so much for her. Is this trip to the elf tribe meant to help me see the truth? Determined to win, Elizabeth used her final trick to decide the battle. However, Duck Elizabeth, too, used her perfect replica to replicate Elizabeth's move. Both Elizabeth and Duck Elizabeth pointed their fingers at each other, casting the most powerful technique, Demon Queen's swordless art. Meanwhile, Leping, who was terrified and chasing after zombies with his chainsaw, accidentally sliced through the space where Elizabeth and Duck Elizabeth were fighting. Elizabeth noticed Leping, and the distraction allowed Duck Elizabeth to successfully land a strike on her. Elizabeth, after being hit, landed on the ground and asked Leping what he was doing there. Upon hearing Elizabeth's voice, Leping opened his eyes and saw Elizabeth in front of him. But before he could say anything, his foot collided with a stone, causing him to fall on top of Elizabeth's chest. His face ended up wedged between Elizabeth's large, bouncy breasts. The chainsaw he was carrying slipped from his hands and fell away. The chainsaw's spirit, panicked, called out to Leping, "Don't abandon me." The spirit was really nervous upon seeing Leping and Elizabeth together and started spinning wildly. But then she remembered that Leping's backpack had space magic, so she didn't have to worry. She could return on her own. "I won't leave you again, Dad," she said, before glancing at Elizabeth. Elizabeth glanced back at the chainsaw spirit, but then grabbed Leping tightly to provoke the chainsaw spirit. The chainsaw spirit returned to the magic backpack, and Leping quickly freed himself from Elizabeth's embrace. That was a close call. It almost ended badly there. "Luckily, I found you in time, Elizabeth," Leping said, breathing a sigh of relief. Elizabeth, confused, wondered what he meant by "almost ended badly," but then she realized, does he mean? The Demon Queen's swordless art that she had just used was also copied by that thing. But if she thought about it carefully, the copies were all reflections, so the art is reversed when it comes to time and space. If I hadn't been distracted just now, the result would have been annihilation. He knew I couldn't hurt him, but he stopped the attack by distracting me just now in order to save me. Leping apologized to Elizabeth, saying, "Because of me, we ended up in such a risky situation. I won't do that again." In Elizabeth's point of view, she saw a strong resolve in him. But in Leping's point of view, he was scared and crying, thinking, "I said before that I was fully prepared for any dangers during this trip. But without you, it would be very hard to even take one step. I won't dare leave you again." Elizabeth pulled him towards her and said, "What do you mean? I don't need you to show me mercy. Any other trials you have, just bring them on." Leping, blushing, stammered, "Trials? Elizabeth, what are you talking about?" His mind raced. "Aren't we a bit too close?" Meanwhile, Elizabeth was deep in thought. On one hand, you train me and make me worthy of being your partner. On the other hand, you care about my dignity. She then told Leping, "You don't need to beat around the bush. I know exactly what you're thinking." Both of them blushed as they grabbed each other, leaning in for a kiss. But just as their lips were about to meet, someone interrupted them. It was Duck Elizabeth, who, in her own language, demanded, "What the fuck are you doing in front of me?" Leping, shocked, asked Elizabeth, "What is that thing? Duck Elizabeth?" But he quickly shut his mouth, realizing it might be better not to comment further. This time, Leping was lucky Elizabeth didn't beat him for the slip. Instead, she told him, "Now that you're here, I have no intention of continuing." She then asked Leping to pack his things. Confused, Leping asked, "What do you mean by my stuff?" But Elizabeth pushed him toward Duck Elizabeth. Still baffled and not knowing what was happening, Leping found himself face to face with Duck Elizabeth. Nervously, he said, "Hello, Duck Elizabeth." Upon seeing Leping, Duck Elizabeth used her perfect copy skill and started to replicate Leping. Seeing this bizarre transformation, Leping grew terrified and shouted loudly, "Elizabeth, look." However, Duck Elizabeth struggled to copy Leping, as he was the one who created her. Elizabeth observed and remarked, "This king saw it." But she was deeply suppressing her thoughts. "Resolutely giving up my strongest form and directly copying you indirectly shows that I am not as good as you. Well, I admit this, but I will see how you can crack this special skill of overthrowing the powerful and defeating a self that is as powerful as you." Scared, Leping asked Elizabeth, "Did you see?" But Duck Elizabeth couldn't replicate Leping's body and skills. Elizabeth was genuinely surprised by this. The copy duck, after forcefully trying to create a replica of Leping, couldn't handle his power and exploded, returning to her card form. As the cards flew back to Leping, they changed color from dark to golden. Surprised, Leping wondered aloud, "Isn't this the playing card I gave to Uncle Boss? What just happened?" He then asked Elizabeth if she knew anything about these events. But in Elizabeth's point of view, she saw Leping saying something deeper. "Do you see clearly? In the face of absolute strength, these so-called special methods of the lower class overthrowing the upper class will naturally fail. Do you understand? The solution is to make your own strength so strong that it cannot be copied," Leping declared. Elizabeth, disappointed and angry, thought to herself, "I am already a 7-star demon god, but I still cannot compare to him." But Leping reassured her, saying, "There's still a long way to go, right?" Elizabeth agreed, saying, "Of course I know. You want to pursue me, but you're afraid I can't handle it. You want to help me grow stronger, but you're worried about hurting my self-esteem. You act so nonchalant and carefree all the time, and I thought I had seen through you. But every time you get serious, I feel like you have me in the palm of your hand, and it makes me feel ridiculous." Leping then suggested, "Elizabeth, use your teleportation magic to take us all to the sacred tree." Elizabeth agreed and used her force transmission magic to teleport them to the sacred tree. Meanwhile, on the other side, a fierce battle raged as the little girl Annie and the Sword Saint fought valiantly with everything they had, facing off against the enemy with all their might and bravery. Unfortunately, the battle was so intense that both of them lost their lives in the end, but not before defeating their foe. Just as their bodies lay lifeless, a golden light emerged, gathering their remains. It was Annie's doll, Raphael, given to her by Leping. Raphael used the resurrection of the dead magic, bringing both Annie and the Sword Saint back to life. As they began to heal, Elizabeth's teleportation magic circle appeared above them. Seeing the teleportation circle, Raphael said, "Now that the Master and his men are here, I should retire, having accomplished my mission." Moments later, everyone was teleported in front of the sacred tree. Leping looked around and saw the unconscious bodies of little girl Annie and the Sword Saint. He asked Elizabeth, "What happened to them?" Elizabeth replied, "Don't worry about them. First, I want to find out who is behind all this." She used her demonic hand to grab the sacred tree and pulled it out from the ground. Leping was astonished, thinking, "Who is behind this? The tree that Elizabeth pulled out is so disgusting." The sacred tree, once uprooted, appeared grotesque, like a massive cage. Its roots were buried deep in the ground, and it was so enormous that both Elizabeth and Leping seemed very small in comparison. Seeing everything, Elizabeth remarked, "It seems that great changes have taken place among the elves over these 500 years. Suddenly, Leping noticed Bors and Elfie, who were imprisoned within the sacred tree. Shocked, he wondered what was going on. As he rushed toward the sacred tree to save them, the tree suddenly attacked Leping. Fortunately, he managed to dodge it, but the sacred tree didn't waste any time and attacked again. Scared and unsure of what to do, Leping closed his eyes, hoping that Elizabeth would save him. However, the sacred tree wasn't aiming to attack Leping, it was targeting Elizabeth, trying to kill her. But it was no match for her. Elizabeth glared at the sacred tree with angry eyes, and in the next moment, the tree was utterly destroyed. Just when it seemed all was settled, something unexpected happened. The Joker, who was thought to be dead, was still alive. He had merged his upper body with the remains of the sacred tree. Laughing, he said, "Destroying all the plant defenses of the elf tribe, subduing the scattered cartoon summons, and finally completely cutting off my corpse magic. All my plans were ruined by you one by one. It's really embarrassing, but at least we finally meet." Leping, terrified, hid behind Elizabeth and asked her, "Could this guy be an elf?" The Joker laughed and replied, "I didn't expect that the first person to find Elizabeth would be the one who hates her the most." He was delighted to see Elizabeth again, laughing maniacally and expressing his desire to kill her. Seeing this, Leping asked Elizabeth, "You two know each other?" Elizabeth replied, "I don't know him. I have no impression of him at all." The Joker, grinning, said, "Of course not, because I put on this clown costume to erase the existence of myself." He then removed his Joker hat and wiped off the makeup. "Do you recognize me now?" he asked Elizabeth. Meanwhile, in the Dark Demon Guild, Malfoy was attempting to create a clone of Elizabeth. He demanded that number 24 provide his energy to assist in rescuing Elizabeth. Number 24 unleashed his 100,000 volts of electricity. The current was so strong that Malfoy started screaming in pain as the energy coursed through him.